Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2 from the round of 8 of the GSL code S. A Terran versus Zerg from South Korea. We're in the top right hand corner in game number 1 playing with the red Zerg drones. We have none other than Rogue and his opponent down in the bottom left with the blue Terran pieces. He goes by the name of ByuN. ByuN going up against Rogue. This should be an absolute banger. I actually don't really know exactly what ended up happening in this particular group. I've managed to avoid spoilers so far, so I'm excited to have a look at some of the GSL games and figure out exactly what ended up going down. Both of these players, of course, absolute top tier. Both of them previous world champions of StarCraft 2. Currently, that honor, it lies with Clem, but I can guarantee you that coming up this summer once again, Rogue and ByuN will be trying their very best to become a world champion for the second time in their career. I think ByuN won back in 2016, Rogue in maybe 2017, something along those lines. It's been a little bit at this point. I mean, 2016 is like, what, 4 years ago? We're getting up there. Anyways, hedge gas pool here for Rogue. It is going to be an extremely quick command center on the low ground here for ByuN. Now, this is not quite the norm in 2025 StarCraft 2. ByuN opening up, okay, quick double gas, CC first, no scout whatsoever. This is what you do when you sort of understand what your opponent is likely to go for. So, what have we seen from Rogue over the last couple of months? Well, it's been a heavy focus on late game. The man loves making the mass overseer style work. If he can get the game to go on to 20 minutes, it seems like he's got the match in the bag, more often than not. Because of that, though, he rarely cheeses in the earlier stages of the game, and ByuN is now using that information against him. Yeah, double orbital command will soon begin. Factory to complete the wall off, so ByuN even delaying that second depot, of course, because he's got the command center finishing up, which is basically a big supply depot all on its own. He is going to have a ton of income here, and it looks to me like he's going to be able to get away with it. If this would have been any form of early game aggression from Rogue, it would have been difficult. Rogue also not drone scouting here, of course, so he is the one who believes he's being greedy with only 4 Zerglings and then, well, a third hatchery, nice and early too. But so far, he is being out-greeded. Is that a word? It is now. Out-greedied. Out-greediest. Yeah. Can we do another command center, dude? Oh my god, we just did. So what are we getting the gas for, ByuN? We are mining too much gas. If we're gonna go for Hellion triple CC, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. We have got something weird cooking up here for ByuN. It's always nice to see players prepare for a series. So far, at least on Rogue's end of the map, nothing looks out of the ordinary. He's pulled all drones out of gas at exactly 100. He just paid for the metabolic boost. He's making queens, drones, Zerglings, the whole shebang. Couple overlords. All of this costs gas. Or all of this costs 0 gas, rather. So he can just dedicate on mineral income instead. What are we doing, ByuN? Why do we have 300 gas saved up? I mean, I'm assuming this is a 200 IQ build. Because this looks very specific. Ooh, that would have been a disaster. It looks very specific. Okay. We're playing Mech. So hold up. What we have here is triple CC, 1 Marine, no, 2 Marines, 2 Hellions, straight into additional factories. An exceptionally greedy start here from ByuN. Rogue has shown us a bunch of those like 3.5-minute Roach Warrens where he rushes across the map with Ravagers and Zerglings. We have seen that a little bit again as of late. And I think if he would have gone for that particular build in this match, it's already too late for it now, he would probably be able to just get an easy 1-0. Because at this point, ByuN has no units. Like, he's got a bunch of Hellions. Oh my god, we're even adding tac labs into the mix here before we do anything else. So he's faking Marine production. The Marine production's just here to... If there is something aggressive, right, maybe he can kill a bunch of Zerglings, but that's really about it. He's pretending like this is going to be Hellions into Bio. We have an armory already building. I guess this is going to be Cyclone Hellbat? Yep. There we go. So the Cyclone is one of the most changed units in modern StarCraft 2. In case you haven't watched StarCraft for like 5 years, well, the unit is back to where it always used to be. So we've we've had about 7 versions of the Cyclone, only for it to get fully reverted. Blue Flame upgrade coming up. And we also have the improvement for the Cyclone. Now, this is one of the most underused units, specifically in this matchup. We usually see a couple in the other matchups every once in a while. It's quite normal to make one in Terran versus Protoss, but it's an extremely niche unit, especially against Zerg. So I think this is just going to be a full aggression in Terran Mech. I mean, you can't really transition away from this into Bio. I don't think that's going to happen. He did go for the armory. No upgrades coming up there. And I think it's just, well, he started it just now, but I think it's mostly just to make sure that he can morph these Hellions into Hellbats too. And obviously that would make defending against potential aggression from the Zerg a hell of a lot easier. At this point though, Rogue has no clue. All that Rogue has seen at this point is a bunch of Hellions. Not weird at all. Triple CC, really not that weird at all, though it was quite a greedy third command center. He will not know about exactly what is happening until the Cyclones are already up north at the 4th hatchery of the Zerg. This will be the first time that he knows. I mean, he's playing Zergling Baneling against this. He does have 73 workers, which is nice and all. But these Cyclones are going to hit very hard. Both of the upgrades, Mech Field Accelerator, Infernal Pre-Igniter. So the upgrades for the Hellions and then the Cyclones, both of them are finishing up. There is a nice little attempt at Zergling run by, but obviously Blue Flame Hellions are going to be phenomenal when it comes to defending this sort of shenanigans. The Queens are not going to be able to fight this. There's no way. No, they're just gonna get roasted. He's even targeting a bunch of those Overseers now as well. Lings and Banes though, Zergling's trying to get the rep around so the Banes can deal maximum amounts of damage. That being said, this is still A-okay here for ByuN. Roach Warren is coming up, but it is a long while away. Does he just straight up win with like his first attack? Because this is looking really dangerous for Rogue. Like what in the world is he gonna do? He's just rallying everything across. ByuN, that is. He's sending everything that he has towards the other side. This is already a ton of damage done. I mean, Banelings are not a cost-efficient trade. So even though he is getting rid of some of those Hellions, it is still not really something that is worthwhile unless he can permanently shove these Terran units off of his creep. But since ByuN is just rallying everything across, and since Banelings are not particularly cost-effective, especially not if ByuN decides to, well, split up some of his units, I think this is just straight-up game over. Yeah, 4th hatchery is going to fall. At that point, we have 3 base versus 3 base. Maybe, though, Rogue can stabilize. If he stabilizes, he might be able to push the game to go the distance. At that point, ByuN will likely transition into siege tanks and the more vanilla version of Mech. But at this rate, I mean, I think he's smelling blood in the water. Look at him. Building a 4th command center on location at the forward position while sniping the 4th base of the Zerg. And sure, now Ravagers are going to be an option. Roaches are out, but what are they going to do? It's a very specialized timing attack. And it's the type of thing you know that you can go for when you can prepare against your specific opponent. Rogue could have easily dealt with this by literally any form of early game aggression, but he basically let the Terran player completely off the hook, hoping that he was going to be able to play a macro game of his own. He did not go for his favorite Roach opener, which he does all the time. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Tokamak. A much more conventional start this time around. Let's see what we can do. So, in that previous game, right, it was all about knowledge. Rogue simply didn't know what he was playing against. Even if he would have opened up with a blind Roach Warren, like he does in, I want to say, like maybe a third to maybe 50% of his games or so, it's not like he would have been in a much more comfortable position, but at the very least, it would have been more playable. Zerglings and Banelings against that style are just not ideal. So how could Zerg have scouted it? Well, there's a few ways. Obviously, you can try and sacrifice an early Overlord. I don't really like that one all too much, mostly because it's very easy for Terrans to deny it, and obviously ByuN was building those factories behind his mineral line in the main base to push them as far away from a potential Overlord path as possible. Alternatively, Zerg players can go for Overlord speed first. It has always been a very uncommon build. We don't really see it very often at all. And with the most recent changes to the game, so it's been a little while at this point, it's been like, what, 3-4 months or so? Actually, maybe more like 5. It's been a while. Anyways, with the most recent balance patch, they made the Queen slightly more expensive. Maybe that would incentivize some Zerg players to go for, I don't know, Overlord speed a bit more frequently, but I feel like the opposite is true. Zerg players are extremely, like, they made the unit slightly more expensive, but Zerg players are now more adamant than ever getting those Queens up early game. It is tricky. I don't even really know if Rogue could have scouted it. I think the real problem is that he just decided to play a macro game of his own. And because of how delicate the Zerg early game tends to be in modern StarCraft 2, you just don't have a lot of options. You just don't have a whole lot. Like, it's funny, like, the Queen is insanely good, and I will agree that the Queen is maybe even a little bit too good, even in the current version. Because it's perfect for macro, it's perfect for micro, it's perfect for early game defense, it deals with everything, but also there's no alternative. So, yeah, you can nerf the unit, but what will end up happening is Zerg players will keep making Queens. It's a bit of a toxic relationship. If they had an alternative, they might want to experiment with it, but there is none. The alternative, I guess, would be to open up 2-base with a quick lair, but 2-base with a quick lair loses to so many other things. Like, if you start up your third hatchery after the normal timing of a third command center is finished, I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. So, yeah, hard to really pinpoint a mistake there from Rogue. Sometimes RNG, right? Randomness has a part in the game. And considering how precise build orders are in 2025, it's difficult to play that rock, paper, scissors well. Anyways, ByuN managed to get the job done in the first game of the series. What can he do now? So, additional barracks coming up. It looks like we are playing a much more standard match, which will be more to Rogue's liking. Then again, ByuN is an absolute monster when it comes to playing standard StarCraft. Looks like Rogue, though, is not deterred, so he's actually playing an even greedier build this time around. So this is double upgrades before lair. Maybe it's better, though, against Mech. I'm not exactly sure how it would work out, but Baneling speed, not too helpful. Maybe double upgraded mass Zergling is actually the way to go. Either way, this is going to be double upgrades before the lair started, meaning that he's not going to have mobile detection. He definitely will need a Spore Crawler inside of the main base. Yeah. Oh, he already had one. Okay, he moved it over. Stimpack, combat shields, +1/+1 here for ByuN. Couple Zerglings on the other side of the map, putting in a bit of work. Likewise, though, on the other side, we do have 2 Banshees, hitting whatever they can hit. One thing I would have liked to still see, and I've been saying this for many, many years, but one thing I would love to see is to move the Hydralisk Den down to Hatchery Tech, but to keep the upgrades at Lair. Similar to how it is in StarCraft Brood War, I really think, like, the more I play RTS games, I feel like Brood War just nailed it out of the park with almost every decision, which is kind of funny because it's long before esports was ever even really a thing. But I feel like Hatchery Tech Hydras would not even be that bad. Like, I think a lot of people would be assuming it would be overpowered. Hard to say, honestly. There might be some new early game all-ins that Zerg could go for, but I think it would shake up the meta a bit. Really, what makes Hydras good, or at least reasonably good, is those, well, upgrades you can get on them, right? The movement speed and then the ranged. I wonder if you could nerf the Queens a little bit whilst making the Hydras available at Hatchery Tech. I don't know. I've been saying this for years. I would love to see it experimented with, but let's see. Big attack coming in right here for ByuN. Zerglings ready for the wraparound. Keep in mind that Baneling speed, of course, is not yet done 7 minutes into the game. But we do already have a Hive coming up. 2-2 has already begun too. This means that Rogue can go straight into 3-3 when 2-2 finishes. And that set of upgrades is extremely quick. ByuN making a mistake. He forgot his armory. That means he is not going to be able to start up 2-2 until this structure is done. Maybe the tournament nerfs coming to him here, because that is a rather sloppy error. You do really need to make sure that those upgrades flow nice and easily. Either way, he forgot about it, and he is going to try and be aggressive. Now starts up 2-2. But you can tell here that the Zerg is a little bit ahead in that department, which is normally not the case in this matchup. Queens, though, are an absolute necessity. Using the energy. Slowly dealing with these units. Buying a lot of time. Baneling speed now is finished. Big Zergling Baneling counterattack in the meantime, too. Nicely done here by Rogue. Yeah, the queens are buying enough time at the front. Hydras are coming up too. 17 SCVs have now died. Siege tank actually dealing a ton of friendly fire there to his buddies. This guy has got 14 confirmed Zergling kills. And I think about a dozen SCVs as well. Still though, ByuN is now doubling down on this push. A new hatchery was made in the far top left. So Rogue decides to evacuate the expansion altogether. He just has done, of course, a full base worth of damage. So I guess he's okay with it. Losing the drones is a lot more, like losing the workers is a lot more painful than losing the actual hatchery. Although he does need another base here, eventually. This siege tank position, though, is killer. Keep in mind that these maps are very new still. He does not actually give up on the base. No, he wants to double down. He believes that he's got enough time right now where his eco advantage has kicked in and he might just be onto something. Queens, Hydras awkwardly trying to hit those tanks. They just barely managed to get one of the kills. Lurker Den is late here for Rogue, but he probably did that on purpose. Maybe not. Maybe he meant to already have it started. I love this push, though, here from ByuN. ByuN is slowly remaking his worker count. This hatchery up north will likely go down if he decides to target it. He decides to run away, though, instead. What about this hatch? This hatch has been low for a while already. ByuN forced to pull out a lot of multitasking, and he gets the job done. Gets the queens as well. Great work right here by the South Korean Terran. Push up north, though, has been destroyed, but I think he can easily kill the hatchery. Finally finishes it up. Okay. Whoa, man. If only he would have targeted this base for a little bit longer. Zerg would have been reduced down to 3 base eco, which is really not that much. 2-2. Finally finishing up. It feels extremely late to me, but ByuN is going to try and see if he can maybe, I don't know, sneeze on this hatchery, because it's nearly dead. Not a lot of creep anymore in this area. I think you run in. Run in and pick off. Run in and pick off. Just right-click the freaking hatch. Okay. Oh, he wants to have the cake and then eat it too. And you know what? Man with gun, pretty good. Man with gun is pretty good, dude. Holy crap, that fight went amazingly well for ByuN. Now he kills the hatch. In the meantime, though, there is another Zergling run by. Again, ByuN not quite on top of his base defense. Honestly, I feel like all of the SCV losses at the start were very preventable. It's just the SimCity there that's a little bit suboptimal. The reinforcements also not positioned in the greatest of locations. I mean, 40 workers have gone down in this game. That's way too many. But luckily here for ByuN, well, he's pulled off some phenomenal micro on the other side of the map, and it's made it okay. And look at this guy. Now he builds a freaking command center on location. This is a Terran on 45 workers. He's like, yo, perfect. Let me build a Fort CC on location. We can't possibly be making it over here and then flying it across. That'd be insane. He's just doubling down. ByuN going for his standard +3 attack after the +3 armor, but it does not even matter. GG is called, and ByuN obtains a very quick 2-0 victory. Honestly, it feels to me like Rogue just never really got going in those first 2 games that he had to play. He was a little late on the Lurker Den, and I think that was the ultimate misplay in the second game of that best of 3. But in the first match, he didn't really achieve anything. In the second game, he, kind of held on, and the Zergling run-bys were nice. But honestly, he got a little bit lucky with those. It's a tricky one. Now, his next opponent is another Terran player with the blue SCVs. In the top left-hand corner of a map called Persephone, we're looking at Cure's main command center. Who would you rather play against as a Zerg player? Do you rather play against Cure, or do you rather play against ByuN? I've got the feeling that most folks will say that ByuN is the scarier opponent, but I'm honestly not entirely sure. Cure is an absolute monster. Cure is one of those Terran players and one of those StarCraft pros that's been at the absolute top of the game for many, many, many years now, but nobody ever talks about him. I know that sounds really mean, but nobody ever talks about Cure. Cure is ridiculously good. He's been consistently at the tippity top of the StarCraft, but nobody talks about him. It is what it is. He doesn't play a particularly spicy style, right? Rarely do we see him go for any new cheeses, but he's very good at playing normal StarCraft. Cure is the type of guy you look at, and you're like, oh, I can do this in my own games. And then you give it a try, and you realize, nope. Nope. No, he doesn't play a particularly spectacular or fancy approach, but he's very good at normal StarCraft. Actually, what is his current global rank according to a League Elect? Let me have a quick little peek. I know that Rogue is, I think, like 7 or 8 or so. Maybe he's dropped down a little bit. Cure apparently currently to rank 7. 7 globally. Rogue currently number 13. So as of me recording this, the list goes Serral in 1, then Clem, then Hero, then Mech Specs, Maru, Dark, Cure, Raynor, Solar, Bion. Yeah, so interestingly enough, Bion in the number 10 position, Cure in the number 7. Extremely good, of course, against Protoss. Maybe these days even better than... Well, honestly, maybe he's even better against Zerg these days. I feel like he doesn't really lose that much. Again, it will be very much so up to Rogue, though, to try and see if he can stretch the game out. Because I have not really seen him win a lot of matches, and that is not a good start. I've not really seen him win a lot of matches in the mid-game. Dark, by the way, it is now official, in case you... this has been like an ongoing meme in the StarCraft world, is we do have Rogue trying to see if he can take the 3rd. Cure being an absolute prick. Oh, Brenda is body blocking. Now the drone goes back in. Okay, finally the hatchery goes down. Dark tweeted very recently that he is leaving for the military. So the reason there is no Dark in this particular GSL season is that Dark is forced to retire. Yeah. After all the years of stretching, he's now been forced to begin his military service over in South Korea. And that means that we won't see Dark for about 1.5 years, 2 years? Something along those lines. Must kind of suck, man. I mean, I know many countries have a military service, and I know that most of the Koreans do it in like their early 20s, at latest, right? But yeah. Recently married with a kid, and then bye. I guess you get to come home as well during the weekends and all that, but not a fun time for him, I'm sure. But this is honestly one of the quote-unquote problems, I guess, that some of the pro gamers run into with them being very successful in their late teens, early 20s. They don't go and do the conventional timing for their military service, and they delay it for as long as possible. And then you end up in this situation. Anyways, let's see. Hopefully it will come back at some point in the future. That would be nice, because Dark has always been one of the most fun players to watch. So far, though, this game is starting off a lot more conventionally, right? So we haven't really had any damage dealt yet, and that's exactly what Rogue likes to see. It, of course, does mean, though, that Cure has got something cooking up. And so far, it's just been a very normal start into Bio Terran. We have some Cloak Banshee aggression, sure. 5-minute lair timing, nothing out of the ordinary there. No Evo Chambers or anything like that yet, but he started those up now. I'm expecting a Baneling Nest in a moment, too. He started up all the gas geysers. 4th hatchery would make a lot of sense at this point. He dealt a bit of damage on the other side of the map, but all of this is extremely conventional for Rogue. Likewise for Cure, quick 1-1-1 with a 3rd command center nice and early. Barracks 2 and 3 are finishing up right now. Double upgrades are going to be kicking off in just a moment. If you were wondering what a very conventional and normal match of Terran versus Zerg in modern StarCraft looks like, well, this is it. This is as stock standard as it comes. Double upgrades for the Zerg. Baneling Nest here. Some of these timings are a little bit... Some of these timings are a little bit random. So sometimes we see Zerg players taking the upgrades a little bit earlier. It depends on when you add the drones back to gas. Neither player, though, playing around... Remember that beautiful build we saw recently? By Percival, actually. Going for an insane opener on Persephone. Using the healing shrine to his advantage. I honestly love that, but sadly not a lot of players have been going around it yet. He played with a metavac-less... Metavac. Gotta be clear. Gotta be clear. Gotta be careful with the pronunciation of that. He didn't play with any metavacs. Using the healing shrine instead. What do you call a group of medevacs? No. Alright, Hydron coming up here for Rogue. So Hydroling Bane will be his weapon of choice. He's already sending creep all over his side of the map, and, well, I'm sure if it's up to him, he's gonna cover the halfway point in like 2 minutes from now. Kyrdo moving out with a first real army. There's one changeling in the mix. That one does get spotted immediately, but Rogue knows that it's coming. This is a nice timing, though, for Cure. He's reading his opponent very nicely because he knows that Baneling speed is not yet gonna be done. Creep spread gets halted a little bit in this side of the map. Cure not really fighting here for a big engagement, right? He doesn't have his upgrades done yet, but he knows that Zerg doesn't yet either, so he can actually take a bit of a chance. Hive coming up. We need to see a lurker den at an appropriate timing this time around, Rogue. Because that was ultimately, yeah, there we go. What sealed the deal in that series against ByuN. He just didn't have the lurker den in time. He started it up when the Hive was already finished, and that did not quite work out. Now, though, 1-1 is done. Stimpec is finished. Combat Shields is finished, too. Cure hits a perfect timing. And again, Rogue goes straight across the map. What about this hatch? Apparently, it was bait all along, or at the very least, he's pretending like it was bait. Man, Persephone is long, though. He's looking around, trying to see if maybe there's an expansion up already, but that is not the case. Free kill here for Cure. A lot of energy gone as well from those queens. He did transfer the workers, I would imagine, towards the far bottom right. How many drones do we have? 72. Yeah, you should definitely send some of them more to the bottom right-hand corner. What about this Ling run-by? Baneling's trying to get into the mineral line as well. I mean, these Ling Bane run-bys have been glorious. Yeah, and this is what is ultimately justifying pretty much the entirety of the games for Rogue. 25 SCVs down the drain. Cure now at only 42, the answer to the life of the universe and everything. What do we do with this Terran army? I mean, it's a massive army. The army here for the Terran is way bigger than that of the Zerg, but apparently Rogue is going to try and see if he can, well, pull the trigger right now. Those siege tanks in glorious spots, though, mitigating a lot of that surround damage. In the meantime, the Marine drop continues over here, too. Are we going to get a repeat from what we saw against ByuN? Sure, Rogue may have forced the all-in, but then he can't hold the all-in. He does have a lurker den, though, so I would love to see a handful of lurkers being morphed in. Keep in mind, it's only 3 command centers, so it's not like Zerg is, well, really gonna get scanned that frequently. Oh, no. No, that ain't it. Rogue. I think Rogue just dropped the ball. He could have made a few lurkers here. Again, assuming that he can hold the counterattack with just Hydroling Bane. It was a little overly ambitious. A little bit of a frustrating series of games so far, though, for Rogue. He goes across the map, deals so much damage that the opponent is forced to go all in, and then he can't hold the all in. Makes you wonder what if Cure just decided to send all of his units across the map, or maybe even use his SCVs as weapons. Pull the boys. We never see that from Terran at that stage in the game, but if Rogue is that vulnerable, well, Cure is enjoying, though, getting a little bit more control on the matchup. And that is what we're doing here with a good old triple Rex start. This is something that Zerg players will have a lot of practice against, but it is perfectly capable of killing a 3-hatch opener. Killing the third here would be extremely good. So what this is ultimately for the Zerg is a very late gas. He decided to go for a very quick third hatchery, and that means that, well, if Cure decides to just right-click it, he can easily kill it. Oh my god. Cure wants more, though. He doesn't want to just kill the hatch, it seems. He wants to kill some queens as well. He's forcing out slowlings. Roach Warren coming up. I mean, that Roach Warren is going to be great and all when it finishes. Yeah, Cure is not... They're so greedy, man. The top-level Terrans are just so insanely greedy. He doesn't want to kill just the hatchery. That's not enough. He wants to kill the queens, a couple of the drones, and then go back to finish the hatch. Man. I feel bad for Rogue. I'm pretty sure we are witnessing somebody getting bullied. Phenomenal micro here, though, by Cure. Getting so much value. Using this ramp, the drones are trying to see if they can get a wraparound. He decides to juke back down. One of them gets surrounded. 7 drones full. Roaches are now coming up, and I think Cure overextended a little bit. Still, though, all of this for 4 Reapers? Pretty good trade. Keep in mind that the majority of these Reapers are not going to be able to achieve much anymore moving forward. Okay, but at the very least, Rogue holds, and he has the 3rd base still intact. It slowly regens HP over time. Roaches should be able to push away, though, just 4 Reapers pretty easily. Now, of course, the reason why there's only 4 Reapers now is because of the fact that Cure has been already, well, preparing for the next step in the Terran master plan. I love the fact that he's researching Stimpak in the not exposed tech lab over here, right? So if he would have researched it here at the front, a Roach counterattack would actually be a problem. But he's going into +1. Gets a Roach as well. Ay, ay, ay. Dude, Cure is playing out of his mind good here. +1 is going up too, and it will finish right around the time that Stimpak does. I would not mind seeing Cure send all of his units across the map, as he does hit a small little supply block. Okay, losing the Reaper here is actually not the end of the world, because it would allow him to produce more stuff. Kills another Roach. Dude, he's killed 3 Roaches with Reapers. Like, they were supposed to be countering them, not the other way around. And here comes the next wave. I'm getting nerd chills from the way that Cure is playing this, though. Incredibly well executed so far. Multiple layers of aggression. He's like an onion, you know? Or like an ogre. Multiple layers, trying to be aggressive, and then... well, he needs to be careful he doesn't get too overly ambitious, because Stimpak, I mean, it's nice, but if you have no Medivacs to heal the damage, you might be in some trouble. Maybe we're just doing some sightseeing, you know? March these units around. Well, you know what? Hats off as well to Rogue. The fact that Rogue is actually fine economically and has managed to hold on here is quite impressive. Considering the amount of losses, I mean, one thing that's not really reflected in the units lost tab is the amount of time, right, that it cost Cure to get all of this going. Reapers are not the fastest unit to rush out. Now the Medivacs are here. Combat Shields is not yet started. Oh no, I was gonna say, I didn't see that upgrade. Okay, it is almost finished, actually. He decides to go in, though, before that upgrade is done. Ah, brilliant timings here. Brilliant timings here by Cure. Hitting right when the Zerg player is at its weakest. Wow. Not even a G. We get a W instead. Just like that. Cure wins the series, and Rogue is eliminated out of the GSL.